Hi, my name is Andrea Destin. I'm with a group called United Parents. We are a growing network of concerned parents interested in promoting laws and practices that would defend and support a parent's right to direct the learning of their own children, especially in regards to sex education. I'm going to walk you through a few slides to help you understand the California Healthy Youth Act and how it affects you and your child. Some of you may not be familiar with comprehensive sex education. This is a definition taken from a website called futureofsexed.org. They define it as a health education approach which addresses age-appropriate physical, mental, emotional, and social dimensions of human sexuality. They aim to promote that expressing sexuality is healthy in most situations and that people should be open and positive to sexually diverse lifestyles. This approach may not seem that bad, but this is what we found out. Comprehensive sex education is really a code name for a radical approach to sex education driven by a social and political agenda. It is a national effort, and groups like Planned Parenthood, Advocates for Youth, and CUSD are behind it. It sexualizes children by glamorizing sex and normalizing early sexual initiation. It advocates an unlimited spectrum of gender roles, identities, expressions, and orientations, and we found that the rights of parents are strategically and purposefully circumvented. California adopted its own version of comprehensive sexuality education with the California Healthy Youth Act, which was implemented in January of 2016. The law mandates that sex education curriculum provides students with integrated, comprehensive, accurate, and inclusive comprehensive sex health education and HIV prevention. These lessons are to be taught once in middle school and once in high school. Sex education is also authorized to be taught as young as kindergarten as long as it's age appropriate. An interesting note about the California Healthy Youth Act is that it was written into law and immediately implemented. School districts were not given a grace period to implement the law, so many school districts have been out of compliance since 2016. A school district has a few options on what curriculum they teach in regarding implementing the California Healthy Youth Act. They can choose to write their own, supplement their current curriculum, or purchase one. The Adolescent Sexual Health Work Group, or ASHWG.org, is a group that pre-screens curricula for compliance with the California Healthy Youth Act. Most of the ASHWG.org curricula are authored by groups closely affiliated with Planned Parenthood, including Advocates for Youth and CICUS. Examples include Teen Talk, Positive Prevention Plus, and the 3Rs. Because no grace period was given, many school districts took the recommendation of the California Department of Education and chose a curriculum from the ASHWG website without consulting parents of the students within their districts. And even if you go to ASHWG's site, the curricula are mostly copyrighted, so you cannot read the information over the internet. The only way to review them is if your district has purchased copies, then you can read them in the district offices. We don't expect the law to change. Many parts of the law are good, and we feel that we can work within the law to provide our children with something medically accurate and age appropriate. I'll be pulling up slides with sections of the law at the top and the different curriculum approaches on the left and right. The first topic we'll tackle is gender identity. The law states, instruction and materials shall teach pupil about gender, gender expression, gender identity, and explore the harm of negative gender stereotypes. On the left, you can see an illustration that teaches something called non-binary gender. What the genderbread person teaches is that gender expression, identity, and your biological sex can be anything on a continuum. Most biologists would argue that a person's chromosomes would clearly indicate what their biological sex is. There are also multiple studies that show how closely related biological sex and gender expression are. For the few people who are diagnosed with gender dysphoria, the American Psychiatric Association has this to say about early transitioning. Premature labeling of gender identity should be avoided. Early social transition, i.e. change of gender roles, such as registering a birth-assigned boy in school as a girl, should be approached with caution to avoid foreclosing the stage of transgender identity development. The reason for this statement from the APA is that many children who experience gender dysphoria in childhood desist when they reach puberty or adulthood. Decades of data from the Dutch clinic indicate that desistance is as high as 80% among children who experience gender dysphoria in childhood. We advocate for the position that gender is binary, but that people aren't to be held within the restrictions of gender stereotypes. If a girl likes trucks, she's still a girl. It doesn't mean she has to now be a boy. A year ago in Rockland, California, a teacher held a gender transition ceremony for her kindergarten class. A little boy was taken to the front of the class. He went to change clothes and came out dressed as a girl. The teacher explained to the class that this boy was now a girl with a new name. Parents found out about this ceremony only after their children came home from school and told them about it. The parents complained to the principal, who stood by the school's anti-bullying policy. The school board members sided with the principal, and the teacher went on to win Teacher of the Year. You can see the narrative that's being pushed, even though it's contrary to current scientific findings. The California Healthy Youth Act specifically states information that abstinence from sexual activity and injection drug use is the only certain way to prevent HIV and other sexually transmitted infections, and abstinence from sexual intercourse is the only certain way to prevent unintended pregnancy. One of the biggest problems we found with the curricula on Ashwig's website is that they don't stress the benefits of delaying sex enough. On the left, you can see one of the first activities a teacher is told to do in the abstinence chapter of the book in Teen Talk is to clearly define oral, anal, and vaginal sex. Keep in mind that this is for middle school students. We would much rather see a curriculum focused on the many benefits of delaying sex, which research indicates are many. This text from Ascend also shows the many harmful effects of engaging in teen sex. Most comprehensive sex education curricula do not do a good job at helping teens understand that not having sex will give them their healthiest outcome physically, emotionally, and mentally. We are good at trying to teach teens the harmful effects of drugs, alcohol, plastic straws, and sugar and soda pop, but we fail to drive the message home that abstaining from sex is the healthiest option in preventing STIs, and that condom use isn't 100% effective in preventing disease. CNN reported in September of 2018 that the rates of 3 STDs in the United States have reached record highs, as reported by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This doesn't come as a result of kids getting inadequate sex education for 2 weeks of their life. This is more reflective of a greater societal acceptance of casual sex. The next new topic is sexual orientation. The law states that materials shall affirmatively recognize that people have different sexual orientations and, when discussing or providing examples of relationship and couples, shall be inclusive of same-sex relationships. We have no issue with this aspect of the law. We want LGBTQ teens to have the same healthy sexual outcomes as heterosexual teens. We want all teens to be in loving, committed relationships before having sex, and the benefits of delaying sex are certainly inclusive to all. When examples are used, gender-neutral names can be used so that all can identify with scenarios. What we oppose is using sex education to promote LGBTQ activism. On the left, a page from the 3 R's is a myth or fact sheet that is only there to help teens see the LGBTQ community in the correct way. Question 7, even make sure teens know that just because we now have marriage equality doesn't mean we have legal equality. None of this page relates at all to healthy sexual outcomes, even for LGBTQ youth. The law states that materials need to be age appropriate. Teen Talk teaches middle school students about dental dams. We don't feel like dental dams are an age-appropriate topic for a 12-year-old. We are also strongly against any topic from sex education being taught in any capacity to elementary school students. On this slide, you can see the reference Teen Talk makes to dental dams. It's right there on the right-hand side. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is the California Healthy Teen Survey. It's a series of surveys provided by the California Department of Education to give schools quality local data, which can be used to improve student academic performance and social emotional behavior and physical health of all youth. It assesses key indicators linked to successes in school, career, and life. I'll show you examples of the sexual behavioral survey for middle school. Keep in mind, this was created for a 12-year-old. The survey asked the teen questions to determine how they conceptualize sex, if they could really see themselves as a parent. Then it asked them if they plan on having sex in the next year, and then asked them outright if they've engaged in sex. Then, if asking if a child has had sex isn't enough information to get out of your young child, they ask how old you were when you first engaged in sex, if you used a condom, and if you've ever been forced into having sex. These are questions no educator needs to know about my child. Many parents whose children have been administered this questionnaire have expressed their frustrations on Facebook. Frankly, I don't know why the California Department of Education has this available on their website at all. This next website is courtesy of the 3 R's, a comprehensive sex education curriculum that you can actually read online. This is one of the ashwig.org recommended curriculums. One of the directions it gives its instructors is to refer to a female as a girl or woman, not to refer to a female as a girl or woman, but as someone with a vulva. This was recently found not to be inclusive enough, so Advocates for Youth wrote a curriculum that recommends calling a vagina a front hole, which is obviously not medically accurate and should have no place in our schools. One of the major objections to the curricula out there are the supplemental homework activities. You can see some of the horrors your teen may experience when they surf the website Scarlet Teen. We aren't even sure who is responding to these questions about sex. Are they mental health professionals? Are they doctors? Are they in the medical profession? Who are these people that are answering these questions? Another activity makes teens play the condom game, where they have to successfully align graphic descriptions of how to use a condom. You've seen some of the worst of what is out there, and now you're thinking you'll just opt your kid out of sex education. The law was written so that parents with a written request to the district can opt their kids out of sex education in 7th and 9th grade. But because of the controversial topics included in the California Healthy Youth Act, the law was specifically written so that parents of public school children cannot opt their child out of instruction in gender, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation, or they will be breaking state law. What the Orange County Department of Education attorney Ron Weinkert determined at a school board meeting in early 2018 was that if these subjects were taught outside of sex education, you cannot opt your child out. That means even if the parents of the kindergarten children had been notified about the gender transition ceremony, they could not have legally opted out of it. Now I'll tell you a little bit about our story in the Capistrano Unified School District. I'll refer to it as CUSD. CUSD decided to adopt parts of Teen Talk to supplement their current curriculum to help them comply with the law. Parents, including myself, were opposed to the curriculum. CUSD decided to do away with Teen Talk and write their own curriculum using 5 middle school science teachers. They also formed a 20-person parent task force to help advise the teachers on the direction to take. The ACLU contacted CUSD and told them they would be there to make sure CUSD is in compliance with the law. We're hopeful for the outcomes. This is what we hope comes out of this curriculum. We want it to be transparent. We want to focus on transparency. We want the parents to know exactly what their teens are going to be taught in class. We want it to be age appropriate. We want it to rely on current science and be medically accurate. We want the instruction to be inclusive to all. And we want it to encourage parental communication, parental or guardian, whoever that person may be, but having the teen talk to someone older than them that they trust. And we want it to focus on healthy relationships and delaying sex. You may want to know what your school district is doing. Make a phone call to the district office to find out what they've done in regards to the law. You may have to go into the office to review the curriculum. Make sure to ask for copies of all the handouts the children receive. We also recommend reaching out to school board members before school board meetings. They might not be fully aware of the issue, and kindly let them know your stance and its importance to you. You may want to know what you can do. We have a threefold mission. Wake up, which is what you're doing by watching this presentation. Learn about legislation that affects our families and our family values. Step up. Work together by joining UnitedParents.net and linking our own coalitions to better educate and help one another. Speak up. Take action by attending board meetings, writing letters, calling elected officials, and respectfully making our voices heard through those we elect to public office. You can sign up for updates at UnitedParents.net. Inform your friends and neighbors. What you need to know, too, is that 90% of parents want kids to delay sex, so you're not alone in your value system. If you really, really want to learn more, you need to read the book, You're Teaching My Child What, by Dr. Miriam Grossman, which is a fantastic, well-researched read. You need to get to know your child's teachers and school administrators. Contact the school board. Even if your district has adopted something like Teen Talk, you can work with them to remove some of the out-of-class homework assignments that are so offensive. Most importantly, vote for candidates that align with your values. Every spring, there's a nationwide comprehensive sex education walkout. If your school district adopts a curriculum you don't agree with, taking your child out of school for a day affects their bottom line. Remember to act before your school district makes a final decision. And remember, you are the parent. And you need to use your right as one to teach sex to your child in a way that's defined by your own values. Your loving influence matters to your child, even if they act like it doesn't. Be involved and don't lose hope. We can win this fight together.